It looks like a minivan, but when Mercedes make them, they're called sports tourers. Anyway, it's officially called the B180 CDI and we take it out for a spin.
Now the B employs the same diesel engine as the A, C and E-class cars. Numbers you ask? 2.2 liters 4-cylinder engine, it puts out 107 bhp and 250 Newton meters of torque.
And they call it the poor man's 911, but whoever does say that is an idiot. Here's our test drive of the Porsche Cayman S. You're going really fast and that's really trippy, but you're pretty aware that unless something horrible happens, nothing horrible is going to happen. Hyundai short circuits the spy shot process with a test drive of their coming soon new Grand i10. And when we say it's under wraps, we mean it's under wraps. And we meet up with metal artist and bike designer Akshay Varde to check out his latest creation, the Vardenchi Valoroso.
Now this right here is the sassy sports tourer, the Mercedes B-Class. Now until a few weeks back, you could just buy this car in petrol, but now you get a diesel option too. The trouble is, now you're confused which to put your money on. I mean, to buy the diesel or go with the potent petrol. Now the good news is you don't have to rack your brains comparing the brochures of both the petrol and the diesel, flip coins or tear paper chits to take a pick. That's exactly where we come in, and by the end of this feature you'll know exactly which variant to put your money on.
So it's stylish, it's spacious, and the only minor design difference, the Diesel B gets no sunroof and rides on smaller 16-inch rubbers.
Now those were minor differences. The most definitive difference, however, is what powers the B. Now the B employs the same diesel engine as the A, C and E-class cars. Numbers you ask? 2.2 liters 4-cylinder engine, it puts out 107 bhp and 250 Newton meters of torque.
Hooked onto the engine is a 7-speed automatic gearbox with 3 driving modes to suit every mood of yours.
So in the eco mode, the B is at its frugal best. It saves every drop of fuel, but just in case if you feel a bit frisky, I suggest you switch to the sports mode where the shifts are a tad bit more aggressive. However, if you don't want to be at the mercy of the machine and you want to take matters in your own hand, switch to the manual mode and flap the paddles away.
The B pulls pretty nicely from low revs and has a potent mid-range too. It's capable of a top whack of 190 km per hour. But speeds post 130, the diesel does get a bit noisy.
Now if you're one of those who crave the silent sophistication of a petrol engine, let me assure you the Diesel B is pretty silent. It's not noisy on the move nor at idle. The NVH levels are pretty satisfactory too. As far as the ride goes, it rides better than the petrol because it's got smaller high profile tires, and the suspension setup, it's a moderate setup. It's not too stiff, not too soft.
It handles beautifully well for a mini MPV. It is planted at high speeds and agile too.
Yup, its reflexes are pretty sharp, and even at high speeds it is pretty responsive to your sudden lane changing maneuvers. And thanks to its touring credentials, it's absolutely at home at triple-digit speeds. And even in the city, it's just perfect. It's got a light steering which will help you maneuver through bumper-to-bumper traffic. But I tell you what, this car, where it shines is out on the highway, and that's where it really belongs.
And on the inside, there is ample space to accommodate 5 people in comfort and luxury.
Now as far as the room at the rear bench goes, there's plenty of it. As you can see, there's ample knee room, around about 7 inches of headroom and decent shoulder room too. 3 people can sit side to side. The only trouble, the guy sitting in the middle will have to keep his limbs on the other 2 passengers courtesy of the transmission tunnel. But having said that, as far as room is concerned, there's plenty of it in here.
The interiors are well appointed, and for storage sake, the B has countless cubby holes.
Now if I had to describe the interiors of the B in one word, that one word would be immaculate. I mean, look at it. It is luxurious without shouting over the top. And there are some very clever bits. For example, I like the SLS inspired AC vents, the rundown matte wood in here. It looks pretty luxurious and feels pretty plush, but here's the problem. I mean, the folks at Mercedes seem to have forgotten the basics. For example, this car doesn't get any parking sensors, it doesn't get any GPS. Now, these are features which are given in a car this class, but unfortunately, on the B diesel, you don't get any of these.
At 486 litres, the boot is spacious too. However, the spare wheel does steal some of the space. Safety stuff includes 7 airbags, ABS and stability systems that are designed to protect and prevent accidents. So, is the diesel B better than the petrol?
At 22.6 lakhs ex-Mumbai, it's definitely cheaper than the petrol B. And if you need more reasons as to why you should buy the diesel, well, it's got a proven and potent diesel engine. With all that space, it is a pretty practical buy. And since it's a diesel, it's definitely more economical. Now, if I were rich enough to buy one, I would have definitely put my money down on the diesel B. But as much as I wish, crave and yearn for it, the sad part is I can't afford one. But will I recommend the B diesel to a friend? You bet I will.
Now, if you're a car geek, and I know that a lot of you are, you've seen images of cars like these, completely camouflaged, images taken surreptitiously from behind a fence or while the car's being tested. But today, Hyundai have decided to subvert or short-circuit the entire spy shot process by essentially calling us, the media, to Hyderabad and giving us a preview of their latest offering. It's called the Grand i10, not the most imaginative name, and it will fit in between the existing i10 and the i20. And this is what it looks like without the veil of secrecy. Essentially, the new i10 in Europe, this car has had its length increased by about 10 centimeters and will be sold in Asian markets. Grand i10 it might be called, but this car really has nothing to do with the existing i10 model. It's an all-new car with all-new interiors and an all-new diesel engine. It's a little surreal to drive a car about which we know so little, but what we do know is that under the bonnet is a 1.1 litre diesel engine. Now, it's a second generation CRDI diesel, which means that it's pretty quiet and it's rather peppy. Attached to the engine is a 5-speed gearbox, which feels slick. The clutch is light. Now, we don't know what the performance numbers are, neither the brake horsepower or the torque or the mileage, but what we can say is that unlike other small diesel engines, this one does not run out of steam. It revs up all the way to 4,500 RPM. Alongside the new diesel engine, there will also be a petrol version using the 1.2 litre Kappa motor that you already find in the i20. We drove the car very briefly outside the Hyderabad airport, and in that short time we were impressed by the way this car drove, especially at low speeds. It's obvious that the Grand i10 has been geared for the city as it loses steam at higher speeds. The Grand i10 is slated to be launched on the 3rd of September, and when we test the car around the launch date, all the cladding and secrecy should come off. Skoda showed off the all-new Octavia this week in Mumbai ahead of its launch next month. The new Octavia will begin production from today and will be a leap forward from the existing machine, which in India is called the Laura. The new Octavia will be 9 cm longer and 5 cm wider, though will come with engines that you currently see in the Jetta, the 1.4 and 1.8 TSI petrols and the 2 litre TDI diesel.